chickens. He had a great big round sauerkraut barrel that was wood. And every time we'd go back and we'd go down and go fingers, I said, that shit now, I've ever seen how we used to do that. You didn't wear your hands.
So that's where you got making sauerkraut then. I said, so that's where you got to making sauerkraut then.
Well, we just ate it. We didn't make
But
it.
you used to make it when I was a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
You had them crocks. You made sauerkraut all the time.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was. I mean, I never regretted growing up where I did, and the family I had it never. Aunt Jude and Aunt Jane and them all, you know, we were just.
Did you learn how to make sauerkraut because that store you worked at?
Dad was more into it, you know. He knew what to do with it when we did it, you know.
So you learned it from Grandpa.
Yeah. But Dad, I mean, we never had a lot. I mean, it was for years before we ever had an in-house. It was always the outhouse, you know. You went out, boy, you crapped and you got done quick sitting out there on that stool, you know.
When did you meet Mom?
When I come back from the service, Mom says, they got a Catholic organization. She says, why don't you and Tom go to it and find you a nice Catholic girl? So we go, and poor Tom, he got hooked up with the woman that he wound up and married. Was a mistake when he married Elmer. Because, I mean, Tom couldn't do enough. He had to do this, do that. I mean, I think that's what put him in the grave early, was the way she treated him. But the kids turned out all right. The kids thought the world of Tom, you know. But Tom was easygoing, and he had that, where he made the elephant ears and stuff. I mean, he had good money in that. She just got him where he just couldn't take it too much, you know. And he come talk to me once about it, and I said, well, Tom, that's the way it is. I got her, and she didn't tell me till after I'd asked her to marry me. Because I went up, when I got out of the service, I had some old clothes. Well, hell, you're in the service for 4 years, you ain't got none of the uniforms. She didn't like it.
Didn't like your uniforms?
That she didn't like my clothes I
Oh.
wore.
And Wendy's clothes, so much the way they fit him. He was tall, and his arms was, sleeves would hit him here.
I said, well, Mom, you're in the service for 4 years. You don't have a big wardrobe. But, I mean,
When did you know you was gonna marry her?
I can't remember when she did say she would. I don't think she ever did.
Yeah, we're not
I mean,
married.
was you dating
We've
very
just been
long?
living together all these years.
When we lived in Franklin, we had catechism on Saturday for 2 hours with Father Schneider, and he taught it. And you had it for 2 hours on Sunday. And you better go. You better not be late, because if you was late, you knelt on the floor for the 2 hours. You know. Well, she was in the young class back in the corner, and we were up with the older kids. Well, she said she remembers Father saying something about the bishops are moving to Middletown. You know, that was about the last, you know, but I never had seen her there, you know, know that was there. But when I finally did see her, well, then she didn't want me, because I wasn't dressed in sporty enough for her, I guess. She still can't make up her mind to get rid of me.
I think it was because he was so tall and big, they scared me.
Maybe we've had 62 years and she's still with me.
Yeah, she must like you a little bit. She got you dressing better.
Yeah. Well, not
Yeah, I'm
really.
saying.
Not really. He's had that shirt on for the whole week.
Well, if he ain't
I
doing
mean, hell, I'm saving her from work. I mean, hell, it stink don't bother me. I mean, hell, it's fire.
Well, if you ain't doing nothing, I won't worry about it. I'd slop food all down on the front of it for me.
Me too.
But I don't know. Can't complain about the way I was brought up or nothing. I mean, and I mean, the thing that gets me is Father Schneider baptized me, made my first communion, was an altar boy for him. I met Mom there. Father Snyder married us.
Yeah.
He knew her. He came to our breakfast we had down at the Colony Restaurant on Main Street,
Where'd you guys get married at?
St. Mary's in Franklin. Same place he was baptized and grew up. Same
It's still
priest.
there?
Huh?
St. Mary's still in there in Franklin?
Well, it's
No,
empty now,
they
they built a
moved.
new
It's down
church
in
out
there.
in
They
Springboro.
put some big ass place clear over.
Where's it
someplace on
at in
Yankee
Franklin?
Road.
I don't even know there's a church in Franklin.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
on Main Street.
You go up Main Street, when you go into
Pretty
town,
church.
you go across Second Street and you go up and you'll beat up on the corner, and I can't remember the name of the street there now. But St. Mary's sits there.
It's on Main Street.
Church is still there.
Hmm.
They was trying to sell it. And boy, when they sold that, a lot of people was upset because Franklin was Franklin.
Right.
And you get these people from way the hell over there, they wanted their church over there, see, so the diocese said, well, we'll go over there. And the church is still standing there. I'm afraid it's gonna be a dump one of these days, you know, but I mean, that just, cause Tom and I, when we were kids, we'd go over and we'd take the ashes out of the furnace at church. Do anything Father asked us. He was an altar boy and I was an altar boy. And we would do anything for Father, he never asked for nothing. The only thing we'd done it for was because his sister was his housekeeper. And she made German cookies all the time, and that's what we got for a treat, was them cookies, cause his sister made them. That was big stuff to us,
Yeah.
just to have. But I mean, he remembered, and we cut up when we got married, he was joking around at the table and everything else, you know, with everybody going on. Cause hell, he knew both of us since he was kids.
Yeah.
And I said, I wouldn't have traded that for nothing.
Hmm.
I mean, just to, cause I mean, you know, I mean, we got good priests now, but Father Snyder, he was from the old German school. I mean, he
Well,
was,
my mom, when she was pregnant with me, Dad was working, she'd go to mass every morning. She had morning sickness and she tried to get up and leave and he just had a fit, told her she wasn't to leave. And then she said he got to go in back and locking the doors so nobody could leave till mass was over.
Oh my gosh.
but see, nowadays you wouldn't dare lock a door on a church, you know.
Well, you might now, so you don't
Yeah,
let nobody
see.
in.
I mean, he was a good priest. I mean, he was. And when
Amy
he,
says they lock their church doors.
Huh?
Says you can get out, but you can't get in.
oh yeah,
That's the way it
They
should be
lock
now.
theirs.
Was a nut job that did all that stuff to that.
but Father Schneider, even when he had to have prescriptions, he'd get on the bus and ride clear to Cincinnati because he had a nephew that had a pharmacy, and that's where he'd get it. Never had a car.
Mhm.
He walked if he had a sick call. They took communion to a person. He'd walk. But when you seen him, you never spoke to him on his way. He wouldn't speak, come back, because when they had the Blessed Sacrament, he wouldn't talk to you. I mean, he was from the old German school, you know. He was very strict for what he done, you know. But he was a good priest. I mean, we never turned down for going up and being an altar boy, Tom and I. I mean, now the kids, they don't think much of it because half of them don't show up over here, you know. And I've told Father, I says, Father, I says, if you want me, if you can stand up for an old coot up there with you, I says, I'll be an older boy for you. I said, I've done it for years. Even in the service, I did it. When we was down in New Mexico to go to St. Anne's. So one guy wasn't there, I'd go up, you know, the Mexicans, they never show up when they had to be older boys, you know, just something you get used to, and you don't think nothing of it.